recording here. Hello, everyone. We are in our live public voice. So we are getting these recorded now for anyone that can't make it. We're already 15 minutes in, and I have already spent, 5-10 minutes with all the good pet bits. So, show up to these sessions for the best conversation. But if you can't, then we will try and record and get them in there. So, yeah, casual, talk about the market, what's going on, maybe some live activity, which we're trying to see how that goes here with Jungle Class. One thing I don't like about Jungle Class is I'm not a fan of the name. Um, I don't know if that's going to hinder it at all. Uh, Also, not a big fan on maybe some of the language, but I know this is produced by I think it's a Filipino or something like that, or Taiwanese artist. So there's some cultural language challenges there with just like some of the clarity of the writing on it. Things like that stick out on the quality of the team. So that's always a bit of a risk. But like when you check out the general art, um, these are pretty cool, and I think if the reveal goes well, that they could perform as pretty well as well. So I I think they're a pretty safe bet. It is a gamble, it is a degen, but a safe bet to move on them at least when they were first rolling out here. So um, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then the other bit that I was really impressed by. And I don't know if this is something like can be done through Squarespace or what the degree of web development is required nowadays. This looks like well beyond that. And just like the way this website is done is super cool, and it shows a degree of talent and production here behind the team and what they're doing. So um, yeah, but the volume was dead, and I mean it's kind of returning back to dead. A very slow morning here for overall volume. I haven't checked. I know the last few days have been down on market activity um, from where we were the previous week, so it has been slow. Um, so a bit of a lull, so to speak. But we'll see how it goes here in the next bit. Interesting stuff around doodles. Been watching what's going on there on the duplicator and the secondary market and what that impact is on doodles, etc. Bit of initial floor dump there. It's kind of come back a bit. Doodles has always been one of my ultimate goal NFTs. I just love them. I don't know if I can ever quite justify getting into them in this range after what their last 6 months have been. But I still watch them and check them and think, okay, do I go on them or not? But so maybe one day. But I mean, at the same time, I love the B3L pass there, and I had to brighten up my background color on my particular PFP because the dark gray wasn't contrasting well to the hoodie. So I went yellow. I went something super contrasty, and I think it helps with the standing out the character, which was fun. It's afternoon and my coffee is cold. That's how busy the day has been so far. But it's good. How's the quality coming through on the screen share and everything? Is it all
Mm,
looking pretty good?
I don't know if it's me, but the actual screen share
Yeah.
is like it's not legible. For example, like the words. Let me take a screenshot and send it in
Okay.
how it's coming on my end. Let's see.
Interesting.
Looks good from me. It looks good from what I can see.
Oh, for yeah,
Yeah,
there it.
whatever you just did there
Yeah.
fixed it
Okay.
perfectly.
So the way I'm producing this is through OBS, and in OBS you can do like uh, a projector. window, and that projector window allows me to share into Discord. I had a pretty small one. I just expanded that. So hopefully
Okay.
that allows it to come in better. I can tell my computer is working pretty reasonably on this. The fan is on. I actually upgraded my computer for this whole process, so it better do a good job. Otherwise, I'll be a little sad. I sold my old computer just last night because I was like, it wasn't quite. It was a MacBook Air, but the problem is as you stream and record over a period of time, it starts to struggle with it, and so the lack of fan, hopefully this can get it done. If not, that's disappointing because these are pretty powerful machines. So, but it's all about how it's optimized for OBS, etc. To how well it does. So, hopefully it's really good, really clean.
I'd be interested to know a little bit about your thoughts on open editions. I sort of know what to look for with the artists open editions.
Yep.
But I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are on what to look for on the open editions, like checks where it's not about the art.
Yeah.
What the factors are for that.
Sure. I think open editions have always been seen as like, the first one that I really caught on to was the Drifter Shoots one, a way back. And I think at the time it was just really open editions were sold as a way to get almost like a print or a low cost entry into an artist's work, and that's about it, right? And so then you could collect it, and then away you go. But because it's an open edition, really it's exhausting the demand. It should be exhausting the demand for the most part. So the whole idea of its ability to run upward afterward, at least in the short time frame, is not likely, right? But something like the open edition for Drifter, if you come back and he continues on his path and progresses, then yeah, eventually it's probably going to be worth more than what that initial open edition drop was, right? And then you carry on and you go, okay, next we have Sartoshi and the end of Sartoshi, and he does his open edition. And I think that soured a lot of people on open editions, as it was just like, here, I'm releasing this and selling it, and then peace, right? And so these open editions haven't had utility per se, at least in any well realized extent. And then came along this newest range in meta, and really what Jack has done here, or at least promised to do here with checks, has provided some degree of game mechanics and utility, and has said, okay, we're now turning a typical NFT drop, and of course, hit this open edition, the checks are not just an ERC 1150 where they're singular item. There are multiple items, and in doing that, you're producing actual NFTs within that, right? So they're the same, but they can be modified as you burn, and then you can produce newer versions of it. So that part is interesting and good, if there's follow through on it. So to circle back and try to answer on the question is, and as you do with any of the projects, etc., you're trying to understand, what this is, who's releasing it, what the idea and goal is. It does it have something unique, or does it stand out, or is it simply, and if you look at Nest Graphics, and I think that one has kind of almost played in between what I described earlier to what has happened with checks, and that it's an open edition. It's a way to get into what Nest does, but at the same time, there's a utility to it, in burning it and producing it. And I think this whole idea of open edition, if at low price, if producing it in a way that has a little bit more perceived potential utility, and then adding in the burn mechanics to make it a little bit more deflationary is, I think, the elements that can make them successful. So I would strongly say, okay, if it's an open edition, if there isn't some form of burn process to it, then that would be a bit of a no go, right? So if it has a burn mechanic and then a form of promised utility where this is a pass to future drops, but even that pass to future drops, like it's a kind of a soft promise. What it can do and what it can deliver is who knows, right? So I don't know if I fully answered the question, but I think that's what Chex has got right, is that it's got that burn element to it, and as you burn, you get newer versions, and it basically enhances and creates that premium version to it. Ness has tried to do that now with burning 5 to get the animated version, and then having it will have future drops and things like that. So it's an interesting evolution, so to speak, to collection drops, and as long as it's not heavily abused and the open editions get soured on, I think they can be interesting and work. It's no different in a lot of ways to a collection that says, okay, we're releasing 10,000 and we didn't sell out, we're gonna cut the supply, and now we have a 3K collection. You know that kind of idea is somewhat similar, where you basically are finding the overall demand for that project, right? So volume overall back to jungle class is low-ish, right? On a day like today, it's not bad, but 100 plus in the 15-minute time frame is what you want to look for any really active moving projects. Merge. Again, this is also this is the original Jack Butcher open edition release. And that the fact that he's got a few, that's the one bit that softens me on Chex a bit. Obviously, they've caught the virality, but I hesitate with the fact that he's got 3 projects out there like this, and it doesn't take much for him to try and release another one and keep that going, where that kind of dilutes the overall value to those that have, say, the Chex or whatnot. Sorry, my chat window was scrolled up, so I wasn't seeing any new chats, and now I'm seeing there. So here we go. Yeah, I did hear about the Killer Bear artist doing a open edition mint. That one is really interesting in a couple ways, right? So, I mean, they're the artist that does Killer Bear's work. Typically, you want to see that artist is basically a part of that project, and the work that they do is really just for that project. So the fact that it isn't, puts a bit of pause for me there.
No, yeah, it is being pushed by the project itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that being pushed in a sense that it's the project is, supporting, or is it part of the project?
They say it'll play somehow in the ecosystem,
Okay.
but there's no details like yet. But yeah, the founder's the one that well, for instance, for example, the founder these past 2 weeks, like, has been very active in other discords,
Mm-hmm.
like buying things, and that's why you see, Terran said that like it feels like a cash grab, and it does feel like sort of sketchy because like yeah, he's like joining and doing activity in other discords to push this. I
I
mean,
I know he's been a pretty active founder and does join a lot of spaces and whatnot. So it, but you're right. Like I hesitate that it's like I said, the artist should be doing it as part of the project, and then the artist is doing it part of the project, and really this should be a Killer Bears drop. The fact that it's tied and got, you know, blessing, so to speak, from the project, that's helpful. But you know, is it a way that it says okay that you know the artist you know didn't make enough on Kill Bears and therefore want to make more or what it is. The thing is like I have a hard time also fading anything Kill Bears is doing, right? And so you know if the price is reasonable and the supply isn't too crazy, like you know I think that I think that's still probably a look and a buy. Just given the fact of you know the success that has happened out of Killer Bears itself. So
yeah, I mean, we gotta remember Killaverse was a free mint, yeah, too.
yeah,
So
free mint, supply cut, etc. You know, not the most ideal launch for them, right? But they have gone ahead and hit it out of the park ever since. So, at least in terms of the quality of the content that they're producing. So I mean, a point oh 0.02 price is pretty good. You know, it's not too unreasonable, so to speak. I know Ness is sub what the release is, although you know the thing about Ness is that after the drop was out there spending the money, which I mean, you earn the money, I guess you can spend it, but it you know also kind of sours out as that you know is this a cash grab kind of thing, right? And I mean ultimately these large sales like this, the artist is there to earn money, right? So I mean it's allowed to be, but you want to hope that you know on an open edition, because like I said it's open edition, it's going to exhaust the the general immediate supply demand, is that you know if there isn't any future plans that open edition, then you've just collected an item and that's about it, right? But if there's a plan that okay, burn mechanics or having it gives you access to what's next, then you know there's interest. And like you know this little line here, be warned, the road ahead has got twists and turns. Well, you know that's good. There's story behind it. There's speculation behind it. There's anticipation, and that whole side of it is what makes NFTs go up. So I like it for those respects. Cash grabby, sure, but I'm gonna think that there's opportunity within it. So you know, it's an interesting one. It's a really good example. Oh, there's music on this. Oh, I just heard it. That's cool though. Yeah, so because it's open edition, you don't need whitelist. You just have to be present during the time it's minting, and away you go. Now, you know, 0.02 is pretty low. The Killer Bear artist and the Killer Bear work is pretty popular. You know, if you get that supply up too high, you know that's the risk of it too. As you're buying an open edition, as supply grows, the general value per unit is kind of decreasing, so to speak, even though it isn't, because you all believe it's worth, or we all believe it's worth 0.02 kind of thing. So, yeah. So burning mechanism exists, which is, I think, is almost a must on the open edition side of things now. If if there's if you're buying beyond just collecting, so to speak, right? If you're buying for the idea that you want it to return. Yeah, merge 29,000 supply, open edition occurred at the merge. With I'm sure Jack will probably come up with some form of utility to this, to try and run this up even more. I mean, there's a 5% royalty, so sales and volume is good for him. He's a marketer, so I'm sure he'll come up with some creative way that says, okay, now this merge can be burned for whatever, or that kind of thing, and then that'll continue to push us up. But I don't when this was hovering at the 0.01, 0.008, or 0.005, like, to me it was like whatever. Like, this is just like a just a token, so to speak. So all very interesting, this kind of current meta. And per wallet, boy. And that's part of the genius, so to speak, of checks, is that the burn mechanism is so aggressive, right? Like, and ultimately, to get the the golden grail, or the grail check, it's there's what, 3,200 supply that's required, or 3,400 supply that's required for that to happen. So it's such a deflationary pressure that occurs, right? That helps drive price, and so an open edition that doesn't have that aggressive a burn mechanic doesn't help. And you also got to think that with the Killabear's artist drop there, is that his focus should still be on Killabears, right? And so he's going to have time requirements and constraints for Killabears. So you're going to believe that the open edition can only have so much effort and time put into it for future, because there's already an established project that he's involved with.
Oh. Okay.
So Digidaidaku overall, I mean, it's probably one of the best funded projects out there. Comes from someone that's been very successful in the gaming space. That's kind of the path that we believe that Digi's going down. They continue to release collections, and each collection has their own overall value. So, I mean, I'm not in the ecosystem. I think any chance you get to get in at a reasonable price is probably good as they continue to build that out. But you also have to consider that they're continuously launching more now, the smaller collections, etc. Although the dragons that are coming up on the Super Bowl drop, 10K supply, that will drive a lot of the attention. But if those are very successful, then the related collections as well will see a move. So the mask villains sound cool, and in sounding cool, there's a probably why there's increased interest in them versus some of the other stuff that they've released. And then price wise relative to the rest of their collections, it's probably also fits the narrative. But it's a whole ecosystem, and as that grows, I think it gets more complex. And as an ecosystem gets complex, I hesitate a bit to how well they get adopted for new entrants into it. And so your catalyst for it is, sure, the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl ad is going to be helpful for that whole collection. But that's going to be like anticipatory, right? As it builds up to that moment, and you work into the rumor and mystery of it. But then as it drops in the news, then then there's usually a pullback. However, that collection, you're going to want to see how well it runs, and then as it performs well, then dragons being the penultimate kind of part of the collection, then things like the villains could go up with it. So that would be kind of your play to it, and then from there you're waiting until what are they teasing next? What are they doing next? Is it gaming side? What's going on there for it to move next, right? Thanks guys for the chat and the questions. It's super helpful for me in the conversation, so that's really good. Jungle class has been kind of hovering a bit here. I think it's probably going to be a couple few day hold. I don't know when the release is for it. I probably should find that out. My mouse scrolls backwards compared to what my PC does, and it just completely throws me off. And now I forgot what I was doing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Definitely looking for more volume here if it's going to continue to move upward. I think this is probably a hold into reveal given the price level that it's at. Not much different from what the fluff, where the anticipation of what the art could be was and at these really low, typically you want to sell pre-reveal. Odds of getting rare items are really low. You sell pre-reveal and then you buy after the dump if you want to get into that collection, or if you want to run another kind of flip, right? But I think with these really low price collections, especially if you're betting on the the art and what they've produced, I think there's a bit of value to holding into the reveal. Something not much indifferent to Mega 404, although I will say that the Mega 404 Dash Fridge naming convention might be part of what's held it back to a small degree, because it's kind of confusing, right? When you're just getting a fridge, but I think this reveals into the PFP. At least that's kind of what I gathered. Now, if you're just getting a fridge, then yeah, I guess that's worth less, right? But and that's where you have to be like so cognizant as you're developing projects and releasing them, is to like the simple perceptions that can be taken throughout, right? And this is a project that has a cartoon being released and worked on with it. So it's a more involved project. So it's a lower cost gamble to what they can do. Other thoughts, questions, projects we want to look at, general things we want to discuss? Actually, something I haven't looked at.
Yo,
in
I have something to bring up.
Sure.
So recently there was a space, and I guess they were talking about the founder meta in terms of these founders that are very active on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
and kind of driving up floor price for these projects. And obviously, like, some of them have products and services that they're looking to build. Some of them are just kind of like trying to prove that, we're still here building in a bear. I mean, like, how do you foresee this kind of playing out? Because it's like you can only really grind for so long. as a person, as a founder, as whatever, and you really do need to deliver. And I think that's like one thing that NFTs have not done. Like so-called utility, quote unquote, um, just ends up being like a vacation for the founder.
Yeah, so really good point. Especially with the real craze was January through March, April, where there was just so many projects being released, on the day, right? And with that, and if I stop talking here in a second, it's because my son's coming in to say goodnight for his nap. And it gets really loud, so I'll mute. But yeah, these projects have released. They've been out for a year and more, and founders are trying to build, to trying to establish, trying to continue volume, and generate funds, revenue, especially if they held in ETH, and ETH is down, that sort of thing. So first, I mean, the fact that these founders are being active in spaces, in Twitter, and still pushing and still trying to get things done. That's good to see, right? What you don't want to see is okay. Bye bye. Sorry, I left it in and on a cliffhanger, and now I gotta catch back up with my thoughts. But what you don't want to see is very little and quiet, and not get that response from the team, etc. Because are they fading? Are they losing in the grind? Especially with the extent of the length of the bear market. So what I've always tried to indicate with these projects is you at the end of the day you're buying art, a collectible. You're maybe getting into a community, and you're maybe getting utility, but that's what you're buying. You're not necessarily buying a promise for whatever, right? So as holders, you have to be very aware and determine what that value of the item that you hold is because a lot of these projects are just a community, right? Just a piece of art, and what founders can produce and what founders can build is quite limited to what is going to generate any kind of significance in the space, and most projects will not be able to deliver much or if anything, right? So sure, you may get utility of a second drop, and that second drop might be worth holding or in being cool to what the story is of the project. But and you may sell it to generate a bit of return. But overall, most collections will not be able to deliver any form of substantial value back to these holders, right? And so what you look for is collections that are established or that resonate with you. A bit of established collection that has been around for over a year, and then part of the OG of the space. Then maybe those ones have some kind of narrative where if they're continued still building, then there's opportunity for the floor to move up and for them to deliver. But look at who the founder is. Are they qualified? Are they capable? What are they actively building towards? Is that something that returns value beyond just what's in the Web3 space, right? If the NFT project cannot find alternate sources of revenue, then they're just looking for more buyers into the collection, which is ultimately just a form of Ponzi-nomics, right? So, like I said, holders that are active and or not holders, sorry, but founders that are active and trying to engage communities, et cetera, and still actively, pressing forward. That's good because that's a lot better than what a lot is going to happen. I don't know if I've really answered the question, but that's kind of the perspective I have on the whole market as a whole, and something that I think is still very important to consider when you're into these projects, especially with PFPs, because PFPs is got the utility of an individual PFP. Otherwise, it's a membership token to a community, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with token gated communities. I mean, I think we do get to meet a lot of like-minded people that we can learn from, and we can spread alpha, which is better than just working by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that like you have to have an NFT in order to do this. Like, I mean, Discord's now, I don't know how many years old, but it's like you can just meet with people that want to trade crypto or
Yeah.
NFTs and not have to be token gated. So
Well,
like at a certain point, it's like, um, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, what's next for the technologies is kind of like what I'm getting at. Like there hasn't been much progress in terms of like the projects actually innovating. It's just kind of been like copycat and derivatives and like I don't know. You even see it like with how people engage on Twitter and how they kind of like uh communicate. So I guess like this all kind of came into like a full circle when I heard Voltura like talk on space. And he was like, yeah, I haven't been active on Twitter, but it's like I've been building this project out, which was Izu, which didn't really go as planned. And but they're still building a product and like it's still of value to people that hold it for that reason, but it hasn't necessarily been like profitable in terms of a flip, but that comes to the trader and it's their responsibility in order to kind of like do their research and their due diligence and etc.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're right. I mean, NFTs, they're ultimately their biggest utility is access to a community and to a Discord, and to show representation in social media platforms, right? And there are many communities that are out there that have public chats that are available where you do not require the NFT at all. And so, even though that's what the utility is of a lot of them, you don't need that to be involved in the space and to learn and grow and develop and etc. Right. So, what is the utility of NFTs and what is the utility of these projects that are building? Other than a roadmap and merch. The merch play is only gonna go so far. What you want to see and where uh, is what's the next applications of the technology, and can projects come out with either unique versions of applying how NFTs are used, or in the form of story and lore and just having a community driven kind of entertainment perspective of like if you want to look at Killer Bears in that respect, and just what they're building out to the story and the content and what they produce, like all of that is interesting and cool. That just that alone is what you're getting as a holder and that kind of unique part of the collection. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of buyers in the space, from the early days of NFTs, it's the buy to what goes up, and then if project goes up and it becomes a premium project, then you want to have that picture to represent that you own that item, and that's about it, right? What we want is new entrants in the space to grow the overall NFT group. Otherwise, we need actual utility to projects, and actual utility in the form of like whether it's Web 2 businesses or a Web 3 business that's dropping something that says, okay, here's your NFT. This NFT represents this physical good, things like that. Like there's all kinds of ways that the NFT itself can get a ton of utility into it and become a project that can develop and kind of bridge the Web 2, Web 3 kind of range. And I think that's what I would be looking for. And then the other side of it is gaming, where it says, okay, well, gaming has, when you're advancing gaming and that works as a way of utility as well. But yeah, it's all super interesting, and it's all as people in the space, what you have to really consider is, okay, beyond collecting and flipping JPEG, so to speak, what is it that does the space mean to you, right? And go from there.
No, yeah. I mean, I think we're all here for a reason. We want to better ourselves and gain more opportunities. And I do think that there's a lot of networking that happens within these sort of settings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of unfortunate that like the engagement now is just kind of between a recycled audience that has become the exit liquidity for some, but haven't lost faith in the technology. Whereas like a lot of people, it's like their idea of utility is, let me get this airdrop, let me flip it for a profit, and then like I'm out. Like they don't really care about the future of the project or any of this.
Mm-hmm. So what's the solution for these communities, right? Like, what do they do to continue to grow and develop? I don't know if it's spaces. I don't know if it's, Discord conversations. Like, what's done for these communities to at least grow their individuals, right? Because that seems like the opportunity for
Yeah.
any project, especially during this kind of market conditions where no one's it's not a up only kind of hysteria kind of situation, right?
I mean, like, how do you feel about Dookie Dash and like that people have been streaming it? And like, I mean, the idea is that maybe some new people will kind of be interested in the space.
I don't know if it attracts many new entrants, but it does bridge NFTs into a form of a gaming application, and I think that's super positive, and I like the the direction that you guys headed in, with the other side and with some of these mini games and things like that is providing a good form of entertainment and gamification to NFTs. So yeah, Dookie Dash is I mean Dookie Dash is almost in a way hit kind of like mini esports level type gaming, and you think of that application and how maybe it can be done on a larger scale, where that ultimate prize is still there. It really could help expose NFTs to the gaming community, where the winner receives something that has value, right? And in this case, it's the rarity of the NFT that is received, but also the grand prize key, which is going to be worth lots and gets those gamers involved. Well, there's a prize to it, and that helps attract that gaming audience. And if there's an audience out there that can bring a lot more to the space, it's that community and that side of it. So I think it was a really successful process that you guys done here with it, and I think that continue evolution to the next phases and stuff like that. Like that's gonna help continue the lead with at least their success, but also hopefully bring more into the space. So I don't know if it's gonna bring masses immediately, but it's a really good step in the direction.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, in terms of gaming, it's like a lot of people want to gamify the experience, but at the same time, it's like there's definitely obstacles, especially if you want to use the blockchain, with Ethereum at least, and it's it's sort of like really hard to make a game that is compelling to play, like that is addictive and that maybe will gain some sort of I guess mass following from Web 2 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the hard part, right? And like the fact that Sewer Pass isn't, you can't play, or sorry, Dookie Dash, you can't play it on without having a pass. I mean, like it's beneficial to the fact that it helps sell passes, but at the same time, it doesn't help get a mass amount of people in playing it as well, right? Just checking my calendar. I think I have a hard stop here in a half hour, so at 1:30 we'll stop, but we'll keep going as long as the conversation is going, which is good. Um, Volume's still quite low today, probably through into the weekend. I don't know what the next catalyst is. I know we do have the Loud Punks drop, I believe, happening today. That one will be interesting. It's got an extremely high mint price, so curious to see how that comes in. I think general perception is that mint price is gonna not be very good for it, but we'll watch.
How's Porsche? I haven't checked up on them in a second.
The last couple of times I've checked, they have been slowly pulling back with a little moments of up and down. Uh, I'm surprised that they recovered as well as they did. I don't. I just don't see them delivering anything of real value for their holders. At least a lot of that hasn't happened from these companies entering the space. And it's not like you're gonna get a Porsche by holding it, right? So it's tough. I do think the right luxury brand can come into this space and probably hit it off, but it's yet to be seen. So I would suspect that Porsche continues to 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 slow down. Really, I mean, what Porsche would be after is a community of Porsche enthusiasts that hold this Porsche item to be involved in the community and either learn about Porsche or share their Porsche stories or whatever, like from owning a Porsche itself, like and that's a very small community, right? So I don't see it continuing to perform that well overall. So, but we'll see. I mean, at this price, I mean it's not. I believe volume should return to jungle class, but at the same time, like you just do not know. Um, Darkflex was not much indifferent to that, where it was a pretty good run up initially, and then slows down, and then again it'll take off, right? It's quite the kind of phase and run of these projects where there's like quite a reduced degree of volume, and floor price will bleed down, and then all of a sudden it's off again, right? So um, it's always tricky. That's where, like, if you're getting into any of these, like, it's almost ideal that you automatically list right away, unless you're like you're in there for the long haul kind of thing. Um, and then that way, as it moves up, you can kind of average out and at least capture some of those profits if they do exist. What else do you guys have? Questions, thoughts, things you want to share?
Mm,
Cool Cats is always one that's fun to try and look back on. Not liking the limited history on these sales points.
well, one of the I think Cool Cats founders, it's Evan Lusa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's dropping a new collection next month or this month, February.
And then they also came out with, was it, they
The
had,
fractions or fractals, something like that, right?
yeah. Let I have your attention. This is a just the weirdest things move in this space at times.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an image that they would own, but like it's these mysterious names like this. They have that ability to do better than they should. I'm not gonna say this is gonna run, but um, like this selling at 0.02 and it's nothing is just, it's wild, and they're starting to fly. I don't understand it. I don't know if you can. I mean, this could get into a really interesting Twitter search. Don't see anything about this other than, oh, there we go. There's a website.
There's a Twitter, apparently. Convenient.
What is this? Uh, 0.027, 0.029. Like, it's crazy. Guess they got someone's attention. Uh, How long has this GM edition been out for?
Yeah, they bumped yesterday a bit.
22 days ago. Oh, this is basically a copy of checks, but with GM.
Yeah, apparently this is from someone that's been working with Jack Butcher. His name is in Twitter Jalil. That is underscore ETH. But he also has the one the checks no the math checks or something like.
Oh yeah,
What's it
math
called?
checks out. The
Yeah,
20,
that
20
one.
2300 or whatever edition.
Yeah, and apparently he's working with Jack Butcher. So based on the thesis of merge and OPEP and pumping,
Yeah,
this should be like the next in line.
related collection.
Yeah, math checks out, and then GMs after that. And that's why just GMs bumped to went up to point oh 0.02 I think yesterday or close from 0.005 under right now 0.01 0.01 basically.
Yeah, just shy of 0.02.
Yeah,
26K supply. So yeah, that's, I mean, that thesis probably holds kind of similar, right? And I mean, a lot of that activity, that related collection pumps happened yesterday. So unless checks is running, then the other ones, will lag as it runs. But checks has slowed down a little bit here and it slows down. But like if we look where we're going, like maybe this range here is where it finds a way back up and breaks this downward trend. Maybe as it's kind of been running along that kind of range there for some time.
and then there's that derive bone pen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
but
I every
it's
time I
hard.
saw it in the and I didn't draw that it was a Jack Butcher release as well until just the other day. But this one annoyed me quite a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
just mainly, I think, just the name in trying to pronounce it, but the fact that this one did what it did as well is just like it's crazy. Like, how does he now deliver on several collections? That's the point of concern.
point oh 0.03.
This is wild.
And it only takes a fairly decent AI art actual reveal for them to actually to run after.
But like, there's
I
like,
mean,
yeah, but there's nothing to this. Like, they didn't
yeah,
even take the time to like clean up the description of OpenSea's kind of standard project disclaimer in there, right? Like, discover the best in this items in this collection. Like, that's tagged on every single one or OpenSea project if they haven't kind of gone in there and put effort in there, right? Um, you know,
yeah,
website's tagged in there,
yeah.
but Twitter's not tagged in there. This image is not, like, it's just so weird.
They took a page of the book of what the fluff, and then based on how what the fluff did, people are following into this.
But at least what the fluff you could tell, there's something there, right? Like that you've seen the images before
Yeah.
reveal, and it was art that though AI looked really cool, and that's where you could say, okay, this is a DGen play. This here, the only thing that it has going for it is just this kind of slightly obnoxious statement, right? And it's like, oh, this must be something, or the speculative nature of NFTs. That's what helps kind of drive it. Kind of not much unlike. Trying to think back to the collection names. A couple months ago too, but and we had it called in DGen. What was the name of that? But there's been several like that, right? Like just some kind of form of mystery to it, and that's all it takes, right? 0.04, like, oh my goodness. But, I mean, there's volume there, right? And so that's generally speaking what you're chasing with a 344 volume on this is just wild.
Yeah, that one literally makes no sense. Everything about it is weird. If you look at the like website URL that it takes you to,
Yeah,
the tab at the top, the dude's Twitter at what his name is, it's like, what is going on here?
there's not one little bit of it that you look at and say, okay, there's something here. Like, there's some reason why it's doing something. Of course, private Twitters um aren't helping things much lately.
Wait, isn't he the one that purchased that? Isn't that Podgy the one that went for 400 ETH? That one looking the other side? I think it is. Podgy Bear one. It's looking left, right?
Oh, the left
Yeah,
pudgy.
yeah, it's that one. So that guy. Yeah, it is. It's the left foot, the left looking Podgy.
Hmm. So I'd suspect that if you're following him, that there is a little bit more explanation behind this drop and what it may or may not be. You'd have to think there's got to be something to it, but like this
I
is
mean, at least there's money behind, right?
You would think if he's got a decently reputable name in the space that he wouldn't just launch this. Or I mean, it could honestly just be fake. So they could have just linked his Twitter to it,
Yeah.
knowing that it was private, you know.
That too.
Looks like Killer Bears just started. It's about 4,000 in the first 2 minutes.
Damn.
that'll be a good one to watch to see where it gets to.
Well, the thing that scares me a bit about that, apart from everything else, Is that yeah? They said 24 hours, but what if they have like a hard stop at, I don't know, 30K, or which is also obviously a lot, but yeah, it sells out in, for example, in another 2 hours, 30K, and they stop it, then people FOMO in too, because there's been no other open editions that other people just stop right without respecting the time limit.
It'd be interesting because yeah, the general move is just to wait it out a bit to see what the overall supply is going to look like. You wouldn't want to get in right away
Yeah,
because then you're jumping into more of an unknown. But
let's see if it's. I don't know if
I'm
Alpha
really annoyed that
Strike's.
I don't follow this guy now to know what what is going on with this. Like,
I'm on the website right now, and there's like music playing, or like a conversation happening.
oh, yeah, I guess that's how to do it. A little bit of mystery.
Yeah, no. What a way to get to raise money, right? They've done 6,500 already at 0.02, so it's 130.
Not bad.
Not bad at all, right?
Yeah, because a lot of collections start out with, you know, almost nothing for just the drop. It's a free mint kind of meta.
I mean, and Terence said they had 311 ETH already in their vault.
I really want to know what this project is. Moving. 7 minutes, 8K.
Okay, let's go volume the hunt.
Well, I do have to end it here. Got another meeting to go. But thanks everyone for joining. It was fun. We will watch collections and we will keep things going. We'll have another session next week, as well as whatever else we got going on. So, cheers. I will post this video up here on YouTube here in a bit as well and share out the link. And yeah, have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy a week off from football if you follow football. And hopefully it's nice and sunny and awesome, everyone.
Hey, good stuff, Rhodes. Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks everyone for showing up. Take her easy. Actually, how long ago did my screen stop sharing? Did it recently do that, or did I just do that now?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Do that. No, you just did that now.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I turned it off. Oh, I closed the window that was shared. That's why. All right. Catch you later.
See you, Rhodes.
Bye.
Thanks.